The sky over the Arabian Sea was a deep, endless blue, stretching out in every direction, calm and serene, as if nothing could disturb its peace. High above, Air India Flight 171, a Boeing 777, climbed steadily to its cruising altitude, engines roaring with quiet confidence. It was a routine flight, one of thousands that connect distant cities and families every single day, a symbol of modern reliability and global connection. Inside the cabin, passengers settled in for the journey, some reading, others dozing, all comforted by the steady hum of the engines and the gentle vibration of the aircraft. Then, in an instant, without warning, without even a single distress call, Flight 171 vanished from radar screens, leaving only a void where it had been. The silence that followed was chilling, a sudden, deafening absence where a plane full of lives had just been moments before. Air traffic controllers stared in disbelief and confusion. One moment, the flight was a reassuring blip. The next, it was simply gone. Frantic calls to the cockpit went unanswered, radios crackled with static. The digital ghost of its last known position hovered over the sea, a haunting reminder of the plane's abrupt disappearance. A massive search and rescue operation began almost immediately, with helicopters and boats scouring the vast ocean. But as hours turned into days, hope faded quickly. The disappearance of a modern airliner with an impeccable safety record was more than a tragedy. It was a mystery that demanded answers. Initial theories swirled in the media and among investigators. Sudden storms, unexpected turbulence, terrorism, a bomb, or even a missile strike. Each possibility seemed more unsettling than the last. But as days passed and pieces of wreckage began to surface, a different, quieter story started to emerge from the sea. A story written in twisted metal and scorched fragments. The truth, it seemed, wasn't in the sky or in the hands of saboteurs, but hidden deep within the very materials of the aircraft itself, waiting to be discovered by patient investigators. The silence of Flight 171 was about to be shattered, not by another tragedy, but by a revelation that would shake the very foundations of aviation safety and change the way we fly forever. Flight 171 departed Mumbai on schedule, just as it had countless times before, blending seamlessly into the daily rhythm of the bustling airport. The aircraft was a nearly new Boeing 777, gleaming under the morning sun, and it was crewed by a team of highly experienced pilots, each with thousands of hours in the sky. The weather was perfect. Clear skies, gentle winds, and excellent visibility. Pre-flight checks were routine, with every system double-checked and verified. The journey to Dubai was expected to be smooth and uneventful, just another ordinary flight. On board, passengers were a diverse mix. Business travelers heading to meetings, families embarking on vacations, and workers returning home. For them, it was just another Tuesday, another flight among many. The plane climbed steadily into the sky, engines humming confidently. Inside, the cabin crew moved through the aisles, serving meals and drinks, while the pilots maintained calm, professional communication with air traffic control. Everything was normal, routine even, until, in an instant, that sense of safety shattered. Without warning, the aircraft suffered a catastrophic structural failure just behind the wings, a critical point in the airframe. There was no explosion, no sign of pilot error, just a sudden, violent decompression. Oxygen masks dropped, alarms blared, and chaos erupted in the cabin as passengers and crew struggled to comprehend what was happening. The crew had no time to react. The plane broke apart in mid-air, torn asunder by forces no one could have anticipated. Debris rained down over the ocean, scattering across the waves. The aircraft's transponder signal vanished instantly, leaving air traffic controllers staring at empty radar screens. The lack of a mayday call was the most chilling clue of all. An event so sudden and overwhelming, it left no time for a single word from the cockpit. The routine flight ended in disaster, leaving investigators desperate for answers and families searching for closure. What could cause a modern jetliner, engineered for safety and reliability, to disintegrate without warning in a clear sky? The search for the cause had only just begun, and the world would soon be watching for answers to this aviation mystery. Recovery teams scoured the vast, unforgiving ocean, their ships forming a grid across the endless blue. Every hour, hope faded a little more, but the search pressed on, relentless and methodical. Days turned into weeks as remotely operated vehicles and divers painstakingly retrieved fragments of Flight 171 from the ocean floor, each piece a potential clue to the disaster. The black boxes, flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, were finally found after weeks of grueling effort. Yet, when investigators analyzed the data, the mystery only deepened, raising more questions than answers. All systems appeared normal right up until the final second. The cockpit voice recorder captured routine chatter between the pilots. Then suddenly, a sharp, unexplained noise, and then chilling silence. The event was instantaneous, not a gradual sequence of failures. There was no warning, no distress call, just a sudden, catastrophic end. With few leads from the flight recorders, investigators shifted their focus to the physical wreckage, meticulously laying out fuselage pieces in a massive hangar, hoping the metal would tell its own story. They noticed something odd, fracture lines that were clean, almost surgical in their precision, not jagged or torn as one would expect from a violent mid-air breakup. It looked as if the plane had been unzipped along a perfectly straight line, the pieces fitting together with uncanny accuracy, defying conventional explanations. Metallurgists were called in to examine the fractures, searching for any evidence of explosives, metal fatigue, or sabotage, anything that could explain the bizarre break. But what they found didn't fit any known failure model. The metal's behavior was unlike anything they had seen in previous accidents. The secret wasn't in the flight data or the pilots' voices. It was hidden deep within the molecular structure of the aluminum alloys, at a level invisible to the naked eye. The wreckage whispered of a silent, invisible killer, something that struck without warning, leaving only subtle clues behind. As the pieces came together, investigators realized the case was about to take a shocking and unexpected turn, one that would challenge everything they thought they knew about aviation safety. Under electron microscopes, the truth emerged. This wasn't typical metal fatigue. The aluminum alloys showed signs of liquid metal embrittlement, LME, a rare phenomenon where a liquid metal invades and weakens a solid one. Chemical analysis revealed traces of gallium, a soft metal that melts at low temperatures. On a warm day, gallium could liquefy in the cargo hold, seep into the aluminum, and destroy its integrity. Someone had likely smuggled a small amount of gallium aboard, undetectable by standard security. Once leaked, it silently attacked the plane's structure, weakening it over hours. The final failure was inevitable, a chemical assault from within. No one in aviation had ever considered gallium a threat. Aircraft are built to withstand physical stress, not targeted chemical attacks. The culprit was not a bomb, but a slow-acting poison. A vulnerability had been hiding in plain sight. The discovery of gallium-induced embrittlement sent shockwaves through Boeing and the entire industry. The 777's advanced aluminum alloys, once celebrated, were now exposed as vulnerable to a common, overlooked substance. The problem wasn't faulty materials, but a blind spot aircraft were designed to resist physical threats, not chemical ones. No one had imagined a chemical agent could silently compromise a plane's structure. Investigators found no sensors for chemical spills, and cargo liners weren't designed to block corrosive liquids. This wasn't just Boeing's problem. It was an industry-wide oversight. Every similar aircraft was potentially at risk. The fortress built to withstand force had a hidden weakness. The findings forced a reckoning with a terrifying new dimension of aircraft safety. The industry had to confront its own assumptions. The investigation's findings ignited public fear and outrage. The idea that a small amount of metal could destroy a plane seemed unbelievable. Boeing's initial response was defensive, insisting this was sabotage, not a design flaw. The public saw it as a betrayal of trust. Regulators faced tough questions. Airlines were inundated with passenger concerns, and regulators scrambled to reassess safety standards. The debate raged. Was this a failure of imagination or an unforeseeable act? Families of victims argued the vulnerability itself was the flaw. Mounting evidence forced the industry from denial to reluctant acceptance. The need for urgent action was clear. Flight 171's fate forced the aviation industry to act. The FAA issued emergency directives, banning gallium and similar metals from passenger flights. Security protocols and cargo screening were overhauled. Chemical trace detectors became standard. Airlines retrained staff and implemented stricter baggage checks. The immediate focus was prevention, but a long-term solution was needed. Manufacturers developed polymer coatings and liners to protect existing aircraft. The real change came with new materials, composites like carbon fiber, immune to liquid metal embrittlement. The disaster accelerated the shift away from traditional aluminum alloys. The industry's painful awakening led to stronger, more resilient aircraft. Safety would never be taken for granted again. The tragedy sparked a revolution in aerospace materials science. Researchers developed smart alloys, resistant to chemical attacks, and self-healing metals that could neutralize threats. Inspection technology advanced, with new methods to detect chemical embrittlement before failure. These innovations spread beyond aviation, improving safety in bridges, nuclear plants, and railways. The lesson was clear: a structure is only as strong as its most obscure weakness. Engineers shifted from building strong structures to building intelligent, resilient ones. The ripple effects of Flight 171 changed how we think about safety. The disaster became a universal cautionary tale. True safety means anticipating the unseen. The story of Flight 171 is a somber reminder of hidden fragility in our greatest achievements. Its legacy is not just tragedy, but discovery and progress. The revelation of a chemical vulnerability forced the industry to evolve. Today, its lessons are embedded in new materials, inspection techniques, and security protocols. The safety of air travel is forged from the lessons of past failures. The incident proved that even the most advanced designs can have blind spots. Safety is a journey of constant vigilance and improvement. The memory of those lost is honored in every safer flight. The silence of Flight 171 was answered by a transformative truth, one that ensures future journeys are safer than those before.